Hey guys, it's Spoot from Fort Misery Gaming again. It has come and gone. We have opened the game. The game is live. Actually, at 2 a.m. Wednesday morning Eastern Time, Sinoalice finally has decided that it wants to be part of your life. So, had a little bit to play it. Yesterday was kind of hectic, so we didn't get to put up a first impression as quickly as we had hoped. And I've got a couple of guides that I'm recording over the next couple of days to get some more content out for you guys, just so you sort of know what's going on. So let's show you what is up. So those of you that don't know, Sinoalice is a game that is published by Square Enix, and it is developed by Pokelabo. The director is Yoko Taro from Drakengard, Nier, those styles of games, though he has been in the video gaming world for significantly longer than that. And then the music is done by Akechi Okabe, who is also the and I'm probably pronouncing that way wrong, who is also the composer for the Nier and a lot of the Drakengard games, although again, his I guess his body of work extends far past that. So, the game is about fairy tales. Very, very dark Taroverse style stories. So, the thing that you do need to know is that there are some I wouldn't call them trigger warnings, but there are a couple of pieces of media in the game that you're going to read and go, well, that's really disturbing. Including the dolls that you summon from, those things are creepy as shit. So, for the most part, the game is very simple with the exception of PvP. We don't have a fight. We are working with two guilds. We are working with Zen Gang and Elite Gaming. Elite Gaming ended up having to split their teams and the time zones didn't work for me, but I am still in the channel helping them out, and they are luckily bringing, hopefully, you to the channel as well. So I am maining a Minstrel, who is the buffer class, so they add stats to your characters and make you do more damage. That's pretty much it. We'll give you a look at the AI. There's a lot of things on here to consider, and there's a lot of things that are sort of hidden that you won't know of immediately. So in the beginning right now, you can get the Rookie's Path, which if you finish, you get the Mage Alice. It is a sort of limited time thing, so don't be afraid on that. You've got missions. Right now, the big things are there is an event where if you clear all of these specific missions, you get an SR Orb. That is the weapon for the Mage class, who is kind of okay. They're not great, but they're not amazing. They're kind of bad. You've got all of your main things. These are your rank ups. These are limit break your classes. Like all of the rewards, quote unquote, are pretty easy to do. You've got your royal rank, which is you get so many skip tickets and a couple of crystals a day and stuff like that. You get medals that you can trade in. Your present box looks the same as every other present box. The only thing I don't like is if you take something out of your mission rewards, it goes to your present box. And I know some games do that and some games don't. It's just usually easier when it's one collection of things. So you've got your rolling banners down here. This is going to tell you what's going on in the bottom left. You've got your ranking within your guild. So like right now, I'm 4th with 21,000. We got a couple of guys over 20k. Not too bad. Event tells you, it brings up all of the banners that are at the bottom left in more detail, so like it'll tell you sort of what's on the Rookie's Path, the Coliseum event, like what the story events for the day are, so evolution for weapon and armor, and actually we'll go into that real quick. Oh, it doesn't give you the actual rate for drops. Okay, that's fine. Not a big deal. So you click on your story tab, you have 3 kinds of main story that you can do. Anything in the game can be done on co-op battle for the most part. There are certain exceptions to this. There are solo missions, but I do not believe they are out yet. It's pretty... say you have a slightly higher drop rate on some of these. You can go at random, you have friends that you can go with guild members. And it tells you sort of who's in the thing. That's these icons at the bottom: Breaker, Crusher, Paladin, etc. So, like, if you are running a certain class and you can buff the other classes, then that's the way you want to go. So it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. The only downside is the AP is the same between single and multiplayer, so sort of take that as you will. Like, the drop rates might be slightly increased, but for the same stamina, I don't know if it's worth it. Your events are worth paying attention to, especially because we just limited. So key events are something that are going to happen later on. Limited time events are things that rotate on an hourly basis. There are a bunch of these, and they rotate throughout the day. So this is one of the larger ones because you actually get paranoia medals with it, which you can trade in at the metal exchange, which I'll show you in a second. This use item tab up here also exists, so you can like double your experience, double your gold, double your drops and stuff like that. Save those for when you're really grinding out a lot of things. But for example, if you click on this, it'll give you, hey, this is what it drops, this is what story participation is, so you can beat each level 5 times for 75? 60, 75. So it's 30, 30, 15. Yeah. So just for completing each tier of the story, you should be able to get 75 medals, which is a lot. Like, it is and it isn't. Like, I'll show you the medal shop and you'll understand what I mean in a second, but it is and isn't. So on the any verse tab, which is what they are calling battles or gotchas, you can go in and see the story missions, you can click on the boss, you can see where they sort of focus on, what they're good at, what their strategy is. You got like kind of an explanation of what the character is, which is kind of cool. Down here, you swap your characters by hitting left and right, so you can create different sets for different things. A lot of times this boils down to creating the same character that has one of your 3 elements maxed out. So all of these have different things on them. And then your regular story mode, which you can unlock a couple of classes in, it looks like this. So every class has the chapter 1, which you unlock a class, and then there are 3, I believe, in the story on chapter 2, 3, and 4 that you can unlock. You do have to sort of run through them with certain characters to unlock their own specific stories, and that's not a huge deal one way or the other. They are dark. You're going to see like rather adult themes, so like not necessarily a kid's game unless they're not really paying attention to the story, but they never outright say a lot of the stuff that they're implying, so if you're good at reading between the lines, they are, except for Kaguya. Kaguya's is wild from the start, like off the rip, because she's a masochist. So, you know, figure that one out. You can set up your co-op things. You only want to do friends, guild members, selected friends, etc., etc. All self-explanatory. Your gear tab. This is your big bread and butter. You're going to see this one in the upgrade tab quite a bit. So this is where you set your character. You pick the class that you want down here. I've got 4 gotcha classes unlocked and a couple of story ones. We got Sleeping Beauty for free, so we'll just put the Breaker there. This is your weapon grid. This is essentially your weapon and your skill grid, and I'll explain that a little bit more later. So for weapons, you can only equip DPS weapons to DPS characters. You can only equip support weapons to support characters. That's standard gacha stuff for the most part, except that this one's a little deeper on specific role gear, so, you know, keep up with it. We have gear, same thing. You can equip strongest, you can equip by element, you can equip by type. This is a set, so I actually get increased effectiveness of skills against beasts, so when you hit a skill, you're going to do slightly more damage when you have this equipped. Excuse me. This is just the intro armor, so it's not going to be amazing or awful or anything in specific to begin with. I leveled it up just to get the thing. Don't put a whole lot of resources into these. Same thing with weapons, same things with jobs. If it's not a specialized weapon, so like you'll see on Breaker, that her specialized weapon is a sword, and then all of her abilities go towards upping swords that are common to the class. So the more swords you have equipped, the better stats you're going to get, because you get a percentage of the stats of every weapon. Common skills. This is something that a lot of people are confused about. Those are account skills. Those are across the board. Every waifu has the same stats until those start getting applied, and then they continue to have those. The class skills are really what changes how a character works. But for the most part, like, at level 10, or at level 10, 11, 12, you get HP 50, physical defense 200, physical defense 200. That means your account, no matter what character you are playing, gets those stats. So that is pretty important to remember, because that's the kind of the key to growing in power, is you want to level jobs roughly at the same time. Nightmares, we found out, were not in the tutorial pool. I guess the JP servers had pulled them, even though they are the same banner as the gacha that you get outside of that, so that was kind of disappointing, but I mean, I'm not a dev, I can't change that, so I gotta go back and edit that video so we have those buttons up. And the reroll button was actually really useful. After you summon your tutorial roll, if you don't like it, you can just keep doing it. I did it on stream a couple, 2 a.m. yesterday, if you want to take a look at it. Rules are the same for Nightmares as they are for everything else. They're giant stat sticks. Show you sort of what they do. Gives you skills. These are important later, especially for gear and equipment, for weapons and equipment. That's where you're going to start investing in weapons that have applicable skills to what you're trying to do. And the downside of that is you don't get to do that a whole lot. So keep that sort of in mind. Like, if you want to go sword, try to get as many swords upgraded as you can. Don't upgrade anything less than an S. Just because it's not worth it. SS's turned into SRs in global, as is the weird thing that we do normally. So we click on a sword, you see a story ability, a Coliseum ability, and a Coliseum support ability. So the story and Coliseum ability usually do roughly the same thing. This changes for certain abilities, and you'll see the levels down beside it. The support ability is the same thing. So the level, eventually you will start getting orbs that you can apply to these weapons to upgrade these levels. That's the resource that people are like, don't go blowing, you don't get a lot of. And most of the time, upgrading the quality of your abilities is better than getting raw power. Your power is your... Do they have it here? I think they're going to have it in the main one. So your points are your average power rating. So like we'll go into the breaker I have for Gretel. So the point is to get your points as high as possible, because that unlocks some of the really difficult stuff that you can do. And it's your overall power grade. So keep that in mind, keep an eye on it. But always remember that a general increase to your skill level is going to give you more in the long run than just flat stats, just because you're going to use those more often, they're going to do more things. This is your group chats down at the bottom right. You can do guild, you can do group, you can do private, so you can message people. You get stickers and stuff like that. It's cute. I've been posting that one a lot. My dude's falling apart. Your upgrade and sell tab. This is your bread and butter. You're gonna, outside of missions, you're going to be spending most of your time here. So you got your regular sort, your filter menu. These are pretty good. They have them slightly separated so you can filter by weapons too. So I actually really, really like that tab. I like that ability a lot because it lets me see specifically what I'm going for. I upgraded my starter instrument to its L feature. So SRs go to L, which is legendary. So when you click a weapon, this comes up. You've got your materials to upgrade with. You get these little things, which are stats, essentially. Or not stats, are XP crystals, so that happens. You can click on details. It gives you the skills. Same thing here. Like, up until you get them to a certain level, they're going to reduce certain things. It gives you like sort of the expected stats when you start upgrading it. You can... I don't think you can do it in this specific one. I think you may... So every weapon has like lore attached to it that you can get to. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's under view and sell. Yeah, there we go. So you get to see the weapons, you can scroll through them, look at sort of the model. Some of them are cool, some of them are just kind of whatever. So you can click on main story, and it'll, as you level the weapon up, it'll tell you like a cute little story about it. It's kind of like the Nier weapons that way. There is some lore in there. There's not a ton, especially because most of the weapons tend to be specific to a weird fairy tale from back in the day or some kind of piece de resistance of like Alice or Gretel or Snow White or whatever. Limit breaking gear is the same thing. You click on it. You have a dupe. It goes up by 1 skill level, and you can go up to a max of 4, but that also takes you up to 19 skills, and it raises the actual level you can raise the piece to. Man, I am congested as all get out today. So you can limit break everything. You can limit break your weapon. You can limit break your nightmare. You can limit break your gear, your armor. Or no, you have to evolve. Oh, that's weird. It's not, I guess you can't limit break armor. Oh, that's right, because it doesn't have skills attached to it. Anything that has a skill can be limit broken. Everything else is just you can level it up and you can evolve it. So you can bump up its specific grade. So when you get dupes, you can unlock them. These are pretty important because their ability is very, very strong for the most part. In story mode, you get 1 cast of it, and in PvP, you get 1 cast of the Nightmare. So if 2 of you try to use the same one, it doesn't work because it marks them out of the bar. Yeah, these are just massive stat sticks. And they usually buff like a particular weapon or a particular element, so you kind of want to pay attention to those too. So that's your general limit breaking for your nightmares and your weapons. It's pretty self-explanatory. Evolution just means you level a weapon up to its max, you have these abilities, or you have these particular materials, and then it tells you how many you have and how many you need. And then you upgrade it to the next rarity. So C would go to B, B would go to A would go to S would go to SR, and SR would go to Legendary. Sorry about that. Had a message come through I had to answer. So, it's the same for armor, it's the same for nightmares. You put your resources in, you level them up. Now, luckily, you can get XP crystals for all 3 different ones of these. So, you're not too worried about it, and the materials you need for each of these is different. So, like, if I go to... Do I have just a regular A1? Yeah, most of these are A's. So it's Serpent Blood, Plant Mucus, Beast Oil. But this guy is Plant Mucus, Fresh Serpent Blood, and Fresh Dragon Blood. So, slightly harder to get materials to begin with. That is an alarm. I gotta get ready. Upgrade class. This is your bread and butter for most of the game. So, as you play a character, you're going to get mastery points. Like, right now I have 924. As you hit certain milestones, it will let you dump those into the class and upgrade it, where you will unlock your class level pieces. And then after 10, you have to use Arcana cards to upgrade past that, which are usually in the metal shops, but you can get them in all sorts of places. That's pretty much it for this. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. You want to level up as many classes as you can for the common stats, because that's where a lot of your baseline stats are going to get more important. And it also changes depending on what job you're maining. So if you need physical attack, you want to unlock more breakers, more crushers, more of the physical guys. So not too terrible a thing, pretty self-explanatory. It's very basic. You get to see sort of a little bit of everybody, not too bad. So let's see, what else do we have in here? Limit break class, that's where you use the Arcanas, so I don't have any, so I can't do anything about it. Those are really important once you get to 10, but you really only want to limit break the classes you're using, so if you're going DPS, you want to do that specific DPS class. unless you have a bunch of them or you get them at events, try to focus down like the one style of class you're playing first, like Breaker, Crusher, Minstrel, etc. This is just your gallery. You can view and sell all your stuff here. Your inventory slots are kind of limited in the beginning, and they do want you to spend to kind of upgrade those, so like pay attention to them. These are all the little pieces. So those are armor upgrades, you've got weapon upgrades, stuff like that. So not too bad. And that's where you're going to spend the majority of your time outside of missions. Like, that one's pretty important. Your Grimoire is just your summon banners. This will get bigger and smaller as time goes. You can check sort of the improved rates. You can see who's unlocked, who's there. It is what it is. Like, you can check the details, brings up that page. You can check the appearance rates. They're pretty standard, 3% for SRs, 20% for S's, 77 for A's. It's about what you're going to do. The rate ups are okay. They're pretty much industry standard across the board. He's got a 3% rate for a job just off the rip. Jobs are still important to unlock overall. Like, those are the things that are going to give you your account stats, so those are the things you want to focus on. You can get to metal exchange here, but it's also Twilight Crystals. It's 30 for a single pull, 300 for your multi. That's what it is. What it is. These are your metals. So the more of these you have, you get to come in here and be like, I need this thing, and that's what you want to do. The pity system is attached to the metals of desire. So you can come in you can come in here and unlock an Arcana. You can get the weapon. Normally these are the classes, but I have all three of these unlocked. So it's just going to give me the Arcana for it. So if there is a job you're hunting in a later banner and you're like, oh man, I really need that weapon, but I haven't pulled it, or I really need that job, but I haven't pulled it, you can come in here and use the metals to get certain amounts. Now, the banners do change. It's not always going to be like the 8 banner and stuff like that. Like, banners do have different metals. You'll see when they expire. So these expire on 8/13/2020, so, you know, the middle of next month. Friend medals and charm medals are things you're going to get pretty constantly. Chrono medals and royal medals are things like these expire in 2 or 3 weeks, but you can get, you know, an okay nightmare with it. You can get Colosseum gems, so these upgrade your Colosseum skill. You've got Colosseum support gems, which upgrade the weapons, support skill, story gems. These are the things I was telling you, like, you don't get a bunch of these. Like, even in these, you only get 5, you only get 30, 24, 30 and 6. So, like, these aren't regular drops. Normally, they are rewards in events. So these are the ones that you are going to pay a lot of attention to, because you're not going to see them very often, and you definitely want to dump them into the skills that you are using the most, i.e. your specialized weapons and the stuff you are using in PvP. Since PvP is not live, I can only show you the basic channel. I can't really show you how it works, but I'll probably record one this afternoon when it comes out. Your menu, this is sort of where everything's hidden. Your notices are your latest events, your notices, your event notices, your issue notices, so if there's like a patch or a bug issue. The shop is where you can go to buy Twilight Crystals, the Royal User Service items, and expand inventory. You'll be in and out of there. The board is kind of like this social message board thing, so it's kind of cute. People are leaving like thank you letters to Yoko Taro and all that. It's pretty adorable. Metal Exchange takes you right back to Metal Exchange. That's pretty self-explanatory. Items, this gives you a list of pretty much everything you've got that isn't a weapon or piece of equipment. So your medals, your upgrade stuff. Friend tab, same thing. You can add people, you can remove people, etc. Rankings, this is where it lists out guild rankings. Self-explanatory. We didn't have one yesterday for the most part, or I don't think it counted. This lets you select what stamps you are using. Pretty self-explanatory. Those are all in chat, so, you know, same thing. Codec. These are all things that you have unlocked. So as long as you have them, you can click on them and go into their story and all that. It's pretty much the same tab as the View tab. Information, this is your Twitter account. This is where you can you can find their stuff to read. So you can go to their Twitter, their Facebook, you can check the credits, all the licensing, all the terms of agreement, that kind of thing. Museum. You can do all of the main story tabs. You can do any movie that has shown up so far. So you've got like the opening, the tutorial, you've got Coliseum Victory. There are a couple of them that you can unlock. They're pretty cool. They're not like crazy animated, but they're interesting. Data transfer, if you plan on bouncing between an emulator and a phone, you're going to be sort of in here at the beginning, because this is how you create a transfer code. If once you attach it to like Google, you don't have to do that anymore. You just uninstall the game, go in, and when it asks you if you want to transfer, you just hit your social media button, which is, you know, Google or Facebook or what have you. Or iOS if you're iOS, and then it'll just upload the thing. You do have to do that every time, unfortunately, because when you are loaded up onto one device, it'll kind of freak out if you try to do it on another one. I've gotten both of them working at the same time, but it really freaks the game out. Help. Sort of the same thing. It gives you, this is your, please tell me what is going on, in sort of vague terms. It's pretty good for, like, basic information, because it'll tell you, like, if there's a particular mechanic in the game or in the menus that you're not certain about, it'll give you a pretty good idea. Profile, same thing. It keeps changing my flag. I want the Sinoalice flag, but it keeps making me Canadian. I'm not Canadian. Your ID is how you add people. You've got your, whatever character you're doing. You can change your affiliated, which is your guild, which, Zenrado, I am in his currently. There are a lot of things and options. You can change your push notifications, you can turn them off, you can change your audio. You can change your skip scenarios after the first time. So like if you've seen the story, you don't have to watch it again. You can change how the camera zooms. You can change the quality of the game, which is kind of important. You can change your chat settings, all of your mission, or all of your messages and all of that, so that's kind of cool. I'll show you Purification after this, because that's something that you're probably going to do multiple times a day. Presents, these are just the present box. It's the same thing as the main menu. Inquiries is, it opens up a tab that goes to Pokelabo, so, I mean, that's cool, I guess. So back to this. That's almost it. So I'll show you Purification real quick, because it's a little different than the rest of the game, and then I'll just run through just a quick story mission to sort of show it to you. So for this game, you get little colored demons that you want to attack, so you want to click and drag. And you want to try to take the shortest route possible, even though I know I didn't do it on that one. Because the more chains you have, the more points you get. And this is also how you get your AP back and your rank, and you can only do it so many times a day, so you definitely want to get as many as you can. I messed that up real bad. So tapping on them doesn't create a combo. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. And once your character starts glowing with the orbs, you have like that AoE that just kills the whole room, which is fine. Normally you want to save that for a big room, though. Like, I might make a little short video like of running a couple of these to like give you an idea of the best sort of route to take. And that's it. I got 56. I got a rank up. I got 101 AP. Shows you how much XP I got, how many I killed, that kind of thing. You're going to do that a lot. You can only do it X amount of times a day, and it has a recharge of like 4 hours. But you recharge energy like 1 for every 2.5 or 3 minutes, so it's pretty generous as far as going. And then we'll do a quick story mission. So, while this is going, a couple of pluses, a couple of minuses. Pluses is, this isn't like a main grind game. Like, you do want to have your stuff upgraded for PvP if you go that route, but for the most part, nothing in the game is really difficult. Like, the later on chapters really beat you up if you haven't, like, spent your time leveling, so that's kind of a pain. But past that, it's not too bad. The art style is really good. The music is amazing. It's a little gothic-y, not necessarily, but sort of an aesthetic for some of the characters. The auto session is pretty easy. The summon session down here is where you summon your guys. It does take a certain amount of time to summon them, so like when you click on them, it'll say, hey, you've got X amount of time before they show up. Usually it's like either 20 or 30 seconds, depending on the level of the character. The downside to this is the regular PvE stuff is pretty simple. The combat's kind of boring, not the best combat system ever, but it's doable. You're just not gonna, it's not a game that you're going to play off of auto a lot outside of Coliseum. And Coliseum is really the only thing you do outside of this or events that are going on. I'll just run one again so you can see it again. So, the benefits of the game are, it's very easy to play, it's very easy to get good at, and it's pretty free-to-play friendly. Like, even if you join a guild that never wins their Coliseum, you will eventually start getting stuff for medals, and eventually you'll unlock stuff that works better. Once the half-nightmare jobs get unlocked and all that stuff, I'll do a separate video, but... So, the benefits of the game are, it's easy, the art style is very easy to love, as you can see by all the art that's surrounding the channel. The characters are pretty interesting. The story's pretty dark. Yokotaro's got a very interesting story writing eye. It's just easy to play. Like, there's nothing difficult about this. Like, don't come in this thinking it's going to be the hardest gacha you've ever played in your life. It's just not that style of game. Like, PvP will be very unique and very difficult, but the rest of it's pretty simple. The downsides being is that is also a downside. The combat is very simple until you get into PvP because it's live, so it's like 15 of you fighting live against another 15 team at the same time. So it's a little more of a power struggle than anything else. But I'm hoping to record that this afternoon once we've got a guild battle going so you can kind of see it. But that's pretty much it. That's Sinoalice. I've got more stuff coming out. Probably every other day, if not every day, just because I've got a lot of backlog stuff that I'm working on and trying to get done. The second conversation with Zant should be out either later today or tomorrow. I have finally got the editing finished. It's just going to take forever to upload because it's massive. But that's it. That's Sinoalice. Hopefully you're going to try. Hopefully you like it. Overall, I would give it a shot and see if you like it. It's not like a regular gacha. You're not chasing the new weapon every 2 banners. You're picking your waifu of choice, you're picking a job you like, and you're sort of just going down that one role, because you only ever take one character into combat. So keep that in mind when you're playing it. Leave us a like, a comment, and a subscribe. I know some of you are liking it a lot, and some of you are already kind of bored with it, and some of you really didn't like it to begin with. And that's fine. If it isn't your thing, it isn't your thing. Like, don't play it. Like, if you're not having fun, don't do it. That's a rule of life, man. For now, I am definitely going to be focusing on the content, mostly because you guys liked it, and I definitely want to start putting out more. So, like, comment, subscribe, tell us what you like, what you don't like. Or do you plan on continuing playing? Are you not going to pick it up? Did a video change your mind? Like, leave us what you're liking about it, or specifically what you're not liking about it. Like, criticism's important. It's if there is something about it you don't like, tell us. Like, I can't get the message to the dev, but it's important to have that conversation. So, that's it for Spoot, Fort Misery Gaming, Sinoalice, that's it, and don't get miserable.